Welcome to the Bold Show, ladies and gentlemen, and please, from wherever you're watching this video, what is the mood? What is the mood in Ukambani? What is the mood in Nairobi? I also want to feel what is the mood in Nyanza and Western after Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka finally made the decision to join with Azimio One Kenya. And of course, we'll try to look at that at some point. I have to say something to Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Deputy President William Samoei Ruto will one day become the president of this country. It is just a deferred dream. However, he will have to go through an election cycle. We'll have to go through a loss of election, have to go through the emotional distress of going to Supreme Court and playing opposition politics for some time. By the way, if he wins the August 9th general election, that will be his first attempt, and he'll become the first person to win that seat on first attempt. When Raila Odinga wins, he'll be winning on his fifth attempt. If you look at President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, before Uhuru won the presidency in 2013, he had the first attempt in 2002. At some point, he was the Minister of Finance in the Grand Coalition government. And Ruto just came from the Ministry of Education and Higher Education and Agriculture. Then from nowhere, he became the Deputy President. A very perfect definition of hustler. But in this video, I have listened to a wild allegation from Deputy President's side today when he was meeting European Union ambassadors at his current residence, making a statement that 1 million voters has been removed or transferred from the voters register. In understanding, this is this he tries to portray that IEBC servers have been hacked, and Kenyans then are pointing finger at Davis Churchill to be the mastermind of this. I want us to listen to that claim.
When public officials take positions that are contrary to their oath of office, to the dictates of the Constitution, they are not only sabotaging the Constitution, but they are active agents of undermining a credible, transparent election. Public officials in charge of ICT, when they make statements that they are in charge of data that will make whichever side win, that undermines the credibility of the election. And we expect friends of Kenya, like the EU, to speak to those issues, because the issue of a credible election is good for everybody, including our partners. We will take a position as a party. We are writing to the IEBC. You have seen in the media that there was an attempt to obliterate names from the IEBC register, and so far almost 800,000 names. 800?
Yeah.
About a million names have somehow disappeared from the register. It's in the public domain, and I think even the IEBC have said they are doing some remedial steps. Those kind of attempts.
This is a very wild statement. Even though IEBC have confirmed that there is nothing, it is far from the truth. But if you ask me, 2 days ago, I analyzed in this channel that there was a report that IBC had raised some red flag, that there were some people that were transferred from their voting, that changed their voting areas unwillingly, or rather they were transferred illegally. Now, today's claim, Ruto is saying that areas they perceive as their strongholds are the most affected. By the way, Wafula Chebukati did not mention which areas are affected. My understanding would be that perhaps Deputy President and Kenya Kwanza team are feeling that they have been left out in the issues of elections process, of this election process, and they were just raising this alarm so that they would get a position from the IBC, and this would actually raise more questions on election preparedness. But from where I'm seated, this where Deputy President William Ruto is, Raila Odinga was in this place 15 years ago. In the run-up to 2007 general election, there was a lot of complaints, and even Mwai Kibaki raised appointed commissioners some few months to the general election, even though Raila Odinga team were trying to protest. After the 2013 general election, Raila Odinga tried to run a campaign on, I remember the 2015 Firimbi operation of, there was an IBC commissioner, the chairman of IBC, Isaac Hassan, that Hassan must go. It was to try to bring the election reforms. By that time, Raila Odinga was an enemy of Deputy President and an enemy of the state. And Deputy President was given the sole responsibility of responding to Raila Odinga's claims when they were doing their rallies. So this has now come to dawn on him. And that is why I can say that for him to win elections, destiny connectors have connected, and by all indications, this is Raila Odinga's time. And this election is perhaps, in my observation, that it might be Raila Odinga's election to lose, because the crying out is here. And let's just face this critically. Why do you think William Ruto is now bringing this wild allegation? And is it going to work in his benefit? I want us to look at that, but kindly subscribe to my channel. And thank you very much for your support. And I mentioned in one of my analysis here that Ruto had given a special role to Musalia Mudavadi to reject results. This claim, whether it is true or not, but in the public courts, people might not subject it to a scrutiny in terms of whether it is right or wrong, but it is a ground that Kenyans can use, or rather people who support Kenya Kwanza can use to reject the election results. And what William Ruto would want is to illegitimize those results if they go against his wish. And could be that he has already understood, because he is in government, in the whole Kenya Kwanza team, if there is someone who understands how power is handed over, that person is Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. He might have realized that even with the intelligence data that is coming, Joe Mushori is saying Raila is winning 60%. Karanja Kibisho is saying Raila is winning 60%. Joe Mushiri have said he's going to win round 1, and everyone in the cabinet is saying they're going to win round 1, even Matiang'i. So Ruto might have known, and that is why I've always said that this data coming from powerful government offices is sending Ruto in panic, because he knows that there is some sort of legitimacy in that data. And because he has realized that perhaps the odds are working against his candidature, he has now gone to alternative 2 to illegitimize the results, and that will then pick the momentum for opposition politics. But secondly, Kenya Kwanza team were also raising this red flag for IBC to give them an official position. What I can decode from this is when Wafula Chebukati confirmed that there was issue with the voters register, especially in terms of data, that some voters were, registration voters, some of them were altered, it was a red flag. And the IEBC perhaps realized, and they might have realized that there are external forces outside the commission that are influencing that. But because they want to raise the flag, they decided to go to bed with Kenya Kwanza, or rather to dine with Kenya Kwanza to raise the flag, because it will have more power if Deputy President is calling on this. But you can also look at it this way. Even though this is an allegation that I can say is going to bring fatigue and desperation and demotivate William Ruto's supporters, because majority of them will perceive that this election is already rigged and it will affect even the turnout. Perhaps people who were supporting Deputy President, someone might say, okay, I support him, but I know he's going to lose, or he might not be given. That is going to work against, is going to bring in some fatigue. But that the intention was to polarize his campaign basis. Because of course we don't have the official data from IBC. It will be an understatement to say that all the areas that are only affected are the areas that support Deputy President. And I want to feel that perhaps is bringing this allegation to polarize, to charge the ground. At least they will go and say, this election is already going to be rigged. There are some people that have been removed from the register. So please make sure you have a maximum turnout at the polling station. Lastly, is attract the intention of international bodies to watch the elections. He just wants to raise the flag into international scene so that they will come in. However, this strategy did not work for Raila Odinga. The same team that met William Ruto will meet with IBC and perhaps meet with Raila Odinga's Azimio side, and there is nothing they will do. After the elections, I have said categorically that election observers are the most inactive players in a free and fair election. They never raise flags on issues. In fact, after elections, after 5 hours, they'll come out and say make a statement the way election was free and fair. But he wants it so that even if he's going to play opposition politics, he's going to stamp out his authority, maybe get financial support from international bodies. And to some extent, this can be a tool in his fundraising at the international scene that he is a victim of circumstance. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our bold. And lastly, what is the mood? We will look at that. What is the mood with the presence of Kalonzo in Azimio la Umoja? My mood is fine.